All right, week 4, day 4 vocabulary. We've got 3. The first one is compensate. It's an advanced definition, is an intransitive verb. It means to provide with or serve as an equivalent, make up for. No amount of money from the company could compensate for the loss of her son. Her experience in the field compensates for her lack of formal training. As a transitive verb, it means to offset or be equivalent to. The eventual benefits will surely compensate the cost. Definition number 2. To pay or repay. Recompense means to pay or repay. The servants were often poorly compensated. If you help us now, we will compensate you amply in the future. Amply means a lot. Spanish cognate compensar. The Spanish word compensar means compensate. These are some examples of how the word or forms of the word can be used. Number 1. Skipping the down shaves weight, but the bird must compensate by refueling constantly, consuming 2 or 3 times their body weight every day. That's why hummingbirds love nectar. Energetically speaking, it's their rocket fuel. Number 2. The majority of our stock is damaged, as well as a lot of our electrical equipment, but the city is going to compensate us, says Duja Morgan, assistant manager of the American Apparel store at 140 West Broadway. Once the basement had filled with water, as much as $50,000 worth of merchandise was badly damaged, but she predicted the store would reopen again early that evening. Number 3. Architects tried to compensate for the lift by making the upper stories thicker on one side, which made the building slightly banana-shaped. All right. Number 2, compound. Holy cow, this has got a lot of definitions. As a noun, it means something made up of 2 or more parts or elements. Water is a compound. As an adjective, having to do with a word that has 2 or more parts or a sentence made up of 2 or more main clauses. Bathroom is a compound word. I went to the store and bought some bread is a compound sentence. As a verb, it means to figure and pay interest on the interest that you have earned combined with the principal. The bank compounded interest 4 times a year. Advanced definition. As an adjective, number 1, it's made up of 2 or more parts or elements. Salt is a compound substance made up of sodium and chloride. 2, combining 2 or more functions or actions. Sending the convicts to the colonies, several served a compound purpose. Number 3, of or pertaining to a word made up of 2 or more lexically distinct parts of a sentence, made up of 2 or more main clauses. Campground is a compound word made up of 2 elements, camp and ground. I was tired, so I went to bed early is a compound sentence. Advanced definition is a noun. Number 1, something made up of 2 or more parts or elements. The cleaning compound contains ammonia and other solvents. Number 2, a substance formed by the union of 2 or more chemical elements in fixed proportions with properties different from those of its constituents. Water is a compound made up of hydrogen and oxygen. 3, a word composed of 2 or more lexically distinct words such as a pickpocket. Transitive verb, to combine or mix. The chemicals must be compounded in the correct proportion. Number 2, to intensify by adding to. Lying about what he had done only compounded his offense. After the crops failed, disease compounded the suffering of the settlers. Number 3, to produce by combining. Number 4, to calculate or pay interest on accrued interest as well as on principal. That's banking stuff. The bank compounds interest quarterly. Quarterly means 4 times a year. Intransitive verb, as an advanced definition, means to form a compound. Sodium and chloride compound to form sodium chloride. 2. To settle or come to terms by compromise. The Spanish cognate. There's so many I got lost. The Spanish cognate. Compuesto? Hope I said that right. The Spanish word compuesto means compound. These are some of the examples of how the word forms the word are used. Number 1. Water is the most common compound on Earth, covering about 70% of the planet's surface. Number 2. Inside, he found thousands of newly made compounds, including many organic ones. Organic compounds contain one or more carbon atoms. All life is based on them. Number 3. The problem is compounded by a lack of downy feathers, the fluffy insulation that keeps most birds warm. Skipping the down shaves weight, but the birds must compensate by refueling constantly, consuming 2 or 3 times their body weight every day. All right, last word. Insulation. As a definition, insulation as a noun means material used to prevent loss of heat. We installed insulation in the attic. As an advanced definition as a noun, number 1, it means material used to insulate, or 2, the act of insulating or the condition of being insulated. These are some examples of how the word or forms of the word are used. Number 1, because it was insulated, the ice house could store ice all year without the ice melting. People known as icemen would deliver the ice to places around town. Number 2, the ice house was usually a large insulated building that would allow ice to be stored year-round without it melting. Ice delivery men, known as icemen, would make their rounds bringing the ice to homes, stores, and restaurants. Number 3, the problem is compounded by a lack of downy feathers, the fluffy insulation that keeps most birds warm. Skipping the down shaves weight, but the birds must compensate by refueling constantly, consuming 2 or 3 times their body weight every day. And number 4, then they pack an insulated cooler bag with carrot juice and head to Carrot Beach. It's noon, and the sun is bright and hot in the sky. All right, there's your vocab. Stay tuned for questions.